casters, but especially applies to Scar, is just how important keeping your army in your control area is. She needs that dark guidance to make her troops accurate. She needs to catch them in her blood magic feet to make them more powerful and more resilient. So it's like you said, it can give you a false sense of security to have so many guys because you need to then manage every one of those guys. And when you're staring down 8 giant flame ball hurlers, you want to spread out, but you need to stick together.
Right.
It's a bit of a conundrum.
Yeah, and well, the Satixis do have decent accuracy on their own. The Mechanothrals certainly need that dark guidance. Adams helped a little bit by the fact that the Citrati don't have amazing defense, but even still, their defense is more than enough to cause some consternation to the Mechanothrals for sure. And
And the Blood Runners even more so.
Yes, the Blood Runners are certainly
Mechanothral is
great.
not frequently going to hit a Blood Runner without some help.
No, not at all. So dark guidance is going to be fairly critical here, but you can already see, based on Adams' deployment, that he's got a lot of models that aren't going to be within Scar's control range unless he keeps everything really clumped up, which is also going to affect his charge range, his abilities. He doesn't have a lot of incorporeal like we saw last night, so he's not going to be able to move through his models easily. No real access to ghostly or anything like that to move through terrain easily. So it becomes a question of mitigating and managing that number of models on the table. Also, the clock comes into play. Moving that many models, making that many attacks. Our players get an hour and 20 each for this larger format game, but that time can go away very quickly.
So even though he's really spread out across his deployment zone, he's still, in most places, 3 models deep just because of the sheer quantity of dudes in the list. So I strongly suspect during the first turn we're going to see them spread out a lot. Really open up some spaces, try and minimize the damage from the Incendiary.
Martin puts those Blood Runners basically right in the middle and finishes the AD quickly. And now we've got all of Adam's AD going up and the 2 Satixis Raider captains, as well as the Satixis Raiders themselves, gaining AD from their unit detachment in the Sea Witch. Kind of counter-deploying here a little bit on the side. See our judge, Tim Simpson, there, watching the proceedings.
Tim Banky.
Tim Banky, excuse me.
Tim Simpson is also here this weekend, but is not judging.
Tim Banky standing watch over the proceedings.
One of the things with the Satixis is they usually make such a good counter to AoEs. But in the case of the Incendiary, it doesn't always matter that much if they die to the blast damage because they're still going to be on fire. The players shake hands to get the game started here.
And Martin will begin the first turn of the first round of this Gauntlet match. So we see Mordekar going first and dropping 4 Fury on his Agonizer, fueling up that Fury bank for later turns. So Martin putting the card of the Agonizer on the table with the Fury on it so that it doesn't get in the way. So we see Hollow being placed on the Blood Runners. Hollow giving them tough and undead. And also when they die, Mordekar is going to get a soul token from them. We see Mordekar advancing forward, keeping 1 for transfer. Blood Runners going next. They get a run order. Darting up the field. There's a 6-inch. Another 4. So really tempting those Satixis Raiders to kind of come at them.
But doing so cautiously because of the large AoE weapon of the Kraken.
Yeah, the AoE weapon on that Kraken can definitely ruin their day.
No need to waste Blood Runners.
Quick check on command range. See the Incendiary running, moving into that cover, getting primed in position to be shooting on the following round.
Now the Cataphract units and the medium-based Tharn units are a bit of an exception to our usual unit size. While most of the medium-based units are 3-man or 5-man, these are 4-man or 6-man, whether it's the various Cataphract units or the Tharn Ravagers and Blood Pack.
So we see the Drake, Ryle, and run forward, moving right past that flag.
Having that extra fireball in each unit is a really nice benefit. You notice it most, I think, with the Incendiary.
Definitely. The Tyrant Commander running up behind the Cataphracts on Martin's right. See the other Incendiary unit running forward. Those templates on the ground that you can see with the gray circles on them are actually forest. The forest trees have just been removed for ease of play in this game. But they will block line of sight and also count as rough terrain.
Yeah, we've gradually lost those trees over the course of the weekend as troops needed to stand in those positions.
You see the Cataphracts running forward there.
Yeah.
The Cetrati.
This is what I frequently prefer. You want Cetrati in the fight as much as possible, but if you shield wall them on turn 1, they can lag behind. So I definitely think this is a good way to go. Really get them up the field now, and then when they shield wall next turn, they'll be in a good position. It is a little bit risky sometimes, but doesn't look like there's a whole lot of Crick's firepower that's going to be able to come their way.
No, and with Arm 16, the Kraken's cannon lacking any meat tokens to fuel it up isn't going to pose a lethal threat to anything that it doesn't directly hit. And even then, it would take an above-average roll to take out a directly hit Cataphract at this point anyway. See the first Titan rushing the Tiberian and then advancing forward. Tiberian, thanks to the rush, runs forward a lot further than you think that hefty sack of elephant meat could go. Right through the trees.
Carrying a giant club and shield.
See the Agonizer running forward, moving base to base with the Titan and the Cataphract right next to Mordekar. See the Annihilator's running next, filling in the gaps between those Incendiari.
You might have noticed on the side there that Adam's tablet has War Room on it, loaded up with a Scorn army.
Yeah, we see that a lot with Gauntlet players and also in Masters, people using War Room as a quick reference for their opponent's army, being able to immediately access those cards and not have to burn their clock in any way or their opponent's clock unfairly, trying to ask for clarification on rules or cards back and forth. So it's a commonly used tactic, immensely useful. We use it for rules reference ourselves.
Absolutely.
You see the Willbreaker running forward, following up the Annihilators. Martin doing a quick Fury calculation to see if he needs to drop anything with the Pain Givers. The Beast Handler unit right there. And we see a condition happening here to remove some Fury from a couple of his War Beasts to bring him back down to where he needs to be for Mordekar. And Adam is confirming if Martin is sitting on the exact right number of Fury, which Martin confirms that he is. So with that, round 1, turn 1 for Adam begins.
Adam begins his turn, and Ikos allocates 2 focus to the Kraken. Scar allocates 1 focus to each Helldiver. Texas Raider Captain advances just a little bit, gains some cover, and puts Desperate Pace on the Texas Raider unit, making that already fast unit even faster.
Speed 9 with reach. That unit is a very commonly used speed bump and early engagement tool. So we see exactly a charge run happening next.
Charge order here. Some of the models will be able to run, or all of them could run if you want, but charge order given.
So Adam doing a little bit of clever positioning here, forcing some potential berserk attacks if those screening statistics get cleaned up onto Incendiary, since the Annihilators are interspersed with them.
Well, and more importantly, slowing down the advance of the Scorn. And potentially denying a turn of Incendiary shooting at the Satixis.
Yeah, the Annihilators certainly going to struggle to be able to hit those Satixis effectively with their high defense of 14. It's not impossible, but misses will happen. And there are only so many attacks that Martin's going to be able to level against them. See that unit really spreading out, though.
Yeah.
Which it's both a blessing and a curse. If Martin's able to successfully snipe out the unit leader, he's going to force Adam to choose where he wants to go.
So the Satixis Raider, one of them actually uses that charge order for a charge, but she finds herself just a little bit short of her intended target, that Blood Runner. Depending on where the unit commander ends up, she might not have been able to attack anyway. I mean, we don't know where the unit commander will be yet, but it's going to be tough to keep all of these models in formation. Tough to impossible. So some of them will be unable to attack when the Scorn turn comes around, if like for free strikes or anything like that.
See a run there. One successful charge so far. Here's the officer, so we're going to see where the placement is. See a measurement of command.
She's got a little bit of movement left, but she is not going to have the whole unit in her command range, I don't think.
So the one that failed to charge, as you noted, definitely out. He's got a little bit of movement left to try to solve
try and get everybody in. Oh, oh.
That looks like it.
That one's
might
close.
Be close. It's very close, but looks like it's good.
Yep.
That's where the officer stops. So provided that Martin can kill that officer, he's going to free up some of one side or another based on unit leader placement. So we see the leader there. So
now we have 3 models making a combined melee attack.
So we see a Lacerator attack, does hit, and he dies. So that'll be a soul token for Mordekar from Hollow. And that's the end of the Styxis Raider unit.
First Helldiver activates, runs on forward. Second Helldiver activates, runs up side by side. The Mechanothral's on Adam's right flank, running forward as well.
He's getting that aggressive front line position, trusting to that Styxis screen to slow down Martin enough that he can maneuver the rest of his army up forward. But you can see those Mechanothrals are already moving well outside of Scar's control range for that next turn. Not critical yet, but may matter later on.
And with the Styxis Raiders to really keep those Incendiary busy, the Mechanothrals are not that spread out.
See a first turn mini feat use from the Blood Hag, turning
so
them incorporeal at the end of the
activation. Yep, they will turn incorporeal. Interesting that this is the turn he chose to use that.
With the Styxis Raiders where they are, and based on the position of the Blood Witches now, I mean, there's one Cataphract unit, Incendiary unit, that is relatively open to shoot, but it's not near those Blood Witches. It looks kind of like he decided to use it more because of how he's having to clump up there.
Yeah, if he's going to be able to, if he's planning to spread out much more in future turns, it makes sense to use the incorporeal ability now rather than saving it and possibly losing a bunch of them to just one Incendus shot that goes the wrong way.
See the Stitch Thralls and Necrotech Surgeon, or Necrosurgeon and Stitch Thralls running forward to keep pace with the Mechanothralls and Styxis Blood Witches.
Getting into a good position to collect bodies if needed.
So we see Iacos going next. Puts up Escort as you'd expect.
Gives that Kraken there some extra speed and gives himself some extra armor, so he's a very survivable novice warcaster thanks to his decent stats to begin with, but then the extra armor that Escort provides.
So we see the Kraken walking through the incorporeal pistol wraith since he's not going to land on it. Moving that sweet 7 inches from Escort. So we see a main cannon shot at one of the Incendiari. So he drops short there. And Adam making sure that that token lands properly. So we see it drop back 2 inches.
And that is not what he was hoping for.
Hoping
Possibly
that he might
clips
clip that blood
a blood
runner.
runner, but definitely not a big group of troops like he could have gotten in certain other directions.
So we see a boost on the damage roll. And so that blood runner dies after a failed tough check.
Just enough on the boosted damage roll.
Get those low rows out of the way early, right?
Well, and if you've got the focus, it's worth boosting it. Even if they do only have arm 11, make sure.
So no shots for the other gun on the Kraken, just based on the range.
Pistol Wraith runs on forward. He's got the incorporeal ability to keep him safe for the time being. You got another unit of Mechanothralls.
Running forward as well. Using that wall as cover.
No note, Adam trying to be quick here, but also wrestling
there.
a little bit with the terrain.
So we see running around the trees there, just avoiding going through. Though Tim did mention to Adam that he can pull those trees that he keeps bumping into with his arm. They are perfectly placed right now to be an obstacle to his movement.
These Mechanothrall are...
they're pretty far spread out.
Some of them are... I mean, there are several spots where a direct hit from in one of the Incendiari could really do some damage. Now even more so.
See the Styxis Raider captain running. Trying to pose a threat to those Incendiari.
Possibly tying up one of them.
So we see Scarlet going, ritually sacrificing one of those scrap thralls to get extra focus. 3 extra focus for Scar next turn.
So 9 focus to use next turn. Seems good.
One of the things that makes Scar so difficult to deal with is just that random focus generation that she can do, sometimes leading her with 12 focus, more than the Harbinger herself. Sometimes
yeah, it's interesting.
An extra one.
It's hard to bank on, though.
It's very difficult to plan around both as the player of Scar and the player against Scar.
much like with the Avatar of Menoth and its random focus generator, it feels like I always get the nice high roll on turn 1 when it's less important.
Doesn't matter as much. See Orin Midwinter running up after that Pistol Wraith. Trying to use the line of sight blocking from the trees to keep himself safe. So Derek Wraith going next. Moves 8. He's going to use Beyond Death.
This is the ability to mess with your opponent's damage rolls for living models. An interesting way that Hollow provides a buff that is not often seen. It's not usually considered a damage buff in any way, but in this particular case, they won't suffer the -2 on their rolls.
See Martin leeching all of his fury from his beasts. Bringing Mordekar back up to 7. He decides to upkeep Hollow. He has a soul. His 2 souls from the dead Bloodrunner, so he's at 8 after upkeeping.
It's a pretty healthy chunk of fury.
We'll see if he decides to use a revive to bring back one of those Bloodrunners. So we see him using a proxy base to try to determine how to move Tiberian here. Tiberian just kind of advancing forward. It's 4 inches. Martin decides that he's good in that placement. So you see Tiberian laying the smackdown on some Styxis, boosting his attack roll. And that Styxis is crushed from the Tetsubo. Doesn't look like he quite got the... Oh, no, that's a Bloodrunner. So that clears up those Bloodrunners. And Martin lets Adam know that he'll replace Tiberian later after those Bloodrunners move when he'll have more room. And the arrow, you'll notice a little arrow on that base that shows his directly facing. So Martin considering what to do next here after clearing out those Bloodrunners from that one Styxis with Tiberian. He's looking over to that side where he's got more Styxis to deal with. That are tying up his Incendiary and his Annihilators.
It's worth taking some time here and figuring out the most efficient way to get this impediment out of your way.
You don't want to sacrifice that entire Incendiary group's activation this turn trying to beat up on Styxis Raiders.
Well, and then even the Annihilators. How much do you wind up using up to deal with this particular threat when there's so many other threats heading straight up the field behind them?
See the Incendiary that are mostly clear with that Styxis Raider. So we see one of them advancing forward, apparently going to take a swing at that Styxis Raider captain that tied him up over the wall. Quick measurement of control range from Mordekar.
As Cataphract Warriors, Incendiary are not actually bad in melee combat. Some ranged troops, you really don't want to use their melee weapons, but in the case of their hefty blades on those Incendus cannons.
So we see Martin leaving a little bit of a gap for line of sight purposes between those 2 front Incendiary. And there you go. Hits... He does connect with that swing from the Incendiary and eliminates that Styxis Raider captain. So like you pointed out, never underestimate Cataphracts and their ability to hit things with sticks.
Yeah, while they are definitely a ranged unit, they are no slouch in melee.
We see a combined range shot from the front 2 on that Mechanothrall in the center.
So, looks like 5 dudes are going to be hit. And
so,
combined ranged attack on an AoE is a very powerful tool. But using the 2-man CRA is often a great idea because you get the additional accuracy, and you also are getting the additional damage on the main roll as well as all of the blast damage rolls. And it adds for each guy participating. So when you add one guy, when you add the first guy to a CRA, you're really getting +2.
So
and each additional guy another +1.
So we see the effectiveness of that AoE just eliminating that whole swath, that whole group of 5 easily. 3 corpse tokens do go on the Stitch Thrall, though. And a field promotion here will put some of those Mechanothralls out of command easily. So we see the Blast Key getting brought out again. And the question is, does he get that one? So he gets both of them.
So 3 more Mechanothrall. No bonus from the CRA anymore, though. But doesn't matter. With those die rolls, we see another 3 Mechanothralls bite the dust.
And 3 more corpse tokens go on those that Necrosurgeon. So if Martin can manage it, he really wants to eliminate that Necrosurgeon, or else all of his hard work is pretty much going to be for naught next turn.
Yeah, over time, she'll be able to rebuild that entire unit, but there's enough of them dead that they're not coming back right away.
See the Drake advancing forward, hoping to catch all of those Satixus up there in that spray. That would eliminate the unit leader and possibly the officer if he can pull it off, which would be pretty huge based on breaking up those Satixus.
They've got some great defense against ranged attacks, though.
So he does catch all 4 with a well-placed target. Boosting to hit against his target. Force barrier definitely causing issues because they are def 16 against this shot.
I think he needs an 11 on all of these, so.
So Rat 5 needs 11s to hit. First one
Martin
misses.
notes, though, that he doesn't need to boost the damage rolls with that POW 14 against the Satixus Raiders.
So 1 gets killed, and then 11, 2 dice, no. So just gets 1. So we see a field promote from the leader that was killed, pushing her further away from the other Satixus if that officer can get eliminated. Bloodrunners certainly have a chance to be able to do it.
Potentially. I'm also interested to see if we are about to see both Bloodrunners return to the table, both of the dead Bloodrunners, for additional blades in that unit.
We see Mordekar moving forward. See a measurement of control area, making sure that he's close to Tiberian. For shield guard. See a measurement of control range. I think you're going to see a Bloodrunner get put down at least once.
With 8 Fury.
So here's a revive.
With 8 Fury on him, it's possible we'll see both. There's not a whole lot. Well, there's 2 pistol wraiths.
So quick note on essence blasting. Can only be done through a living model.
It is always good to make sure that you've got clarity on how various abilities work with regard to living and dead models.
So there's 1 revive. Looks like we're seeing another revive here. Just saw 3 Fury get pulled off. Yep. So both Bloodrunners coming back from revive. Martin considering his placement here. In his command range within 3. So see that 8-inch spray template being used to measure the Bloodrunner's command range as well to make sure that that grunt can be placed where he needs to be.
One of the fun parts of Revive is that not only does it bring you back a dude and let you get positioning that you may want. It also lets you change, well, create what their line of sight is going to be.
And you
so
see,
now we've got a Blood Runner looking right at the backs of these Satixis.
You see that big token slap down because Void Wind, Mordekar's Feet, has been declared. So all friendly faction models within his control area, well within his control area, are going to gain +3 defense and Poltergeist. Poltergeist says when you are missed by an enemy attack, you can choose to have that attacking model bumped back D3 inches. So this is going to make Martin's army highly effective against the Crick's attacks, although Dark Guidance does factor into that, so it's a little bit of a wash.
A little bit.
But every time you miss, it's going to negate those additional attack abilities.
So here comes the Tyrant Commander, not issuing one of his battle plans, but charging on in. We talked about how the Scorn ranged unit right there is also very melee capable. Well, this Scorn support guy is also very melee capable, though he didn't show it just that second. Tyrant Commander, solid mat, great POW. But that particular Satixis will live to see another day, or at least another minute.
So we see the Will Breaker advancing. See Puppet Master being used on the Cataphracts.
I believe it's on the Satrati, yeah.
Satrati.
Oh, nope, on the Blood Runners.
The Blood Runners.
Well, you can't Puppet Master the Satrati right now anyway because of Tyrant Vorkesh.
Making that unit spell warded. So we see the Blood Runners just advancing, it looks like. Hoping to bring that shadow play ability into use here.
Such a fun ability.
You know, the bounce around as you kill things. Shadow play, if a model in this unit damages one or more enemy models with a melee attack during its combat action, at the end of its combat action, you can place one model in the unit in formation anywhere within 1 inch of another model in this unit. So hopefully he'll be able to clear out those Satixis Raiders.
Well, the other interesting part,
and because of
that ability, you could do almost anything with that unit. Like, you don't know if they're really attacking who it looks like they're attacking. The guy all the way over on the flank could make a move right now that would start bringing over the rest of the unit.
So we see the first one on the flank hit and eliminate a Satixis. Now we'll see what happens with shadow play. Like you said, you can do a lot of subterfuge. We see a
yeah, there we
shadow
go.
play for one who was behind Satrati. Now just zips over and is going to be able to attack another Satixis in the back. Then command range of the unit leader. So needs a 7 to hit. Does miss, unfortunately, with a low roll there.
So no cascading shadow play yet.
See a hit there, which eliminates another Satixis.
And opens up another shadow play maneuver.
And
yeah, let's bring that stuck guy over into the action.
Flip that guy over. It's the clear choice here. Shadow play.
And he did start his active. That guy, I believe, with where he was in the back arc of some of the Satixis all the way over there. So he could have gotten a back strike, but focusing on the central Satixis, really engaging that unit with this guy.
See Martin considering where to put that shadow play unit. He's got to be careful of his command range a little bit with the unit leader, which I think is why he's going to that central position first. So the unit leader attacks next. So we see a Puppet Master reroll, and he does hit with that one. So we see a back arc shadow play, and a hit and And another dead Statixis, so we've got another shadow play. And Statixis ready needs to make a command check, but they pass on a 7. One more shadow play placement if he wants to. So you're going to shadow play that last attack to bounce him over further and clear out those Citrati as well. Nope, going to try to clear out the path for his models to be able to move a little bit better.
So much fun.
It's an amazing unit once you see that shadow play shenanigans just start to come into play. And we see another hit, which will eliminate another Statixis, which will allow him to shadow play one more model out of the Cataphract's way if he needs it.
Well, he can clear a path. He can throw one of his guys into some Crixian path.
See shadow play bouncing back.
In this case, he's moving the unit commander back a little bit.
So Puppet Master's been used up. That unit of now back to full strength Blood Runners that are also hollowed is finished. See the Tyrant Commander and Standard Bearer advancing. Casting Press Forward on the Cataphracts at Trotty, giving them +2 extra inches.
And he did also say they're getting the shield wall order, as we would expect at this point.
So +2 speed, not just +2 sets or extra inches. See them
on the shield wall. It feels like +2 inches.
It does. Had he decided to run though, would have turned into 4 inches instead of an extra 2. So see them creating a wall of that shield wall right in front of those Blood Runners. Being careful here to try to present a solid defensive line. Remember, everything that is within Mordekar's control area, which those Cetrati certainly are, will be +3 defense as well, making them defense 15 right now, as well as a hefty arm 20.
Yeah, with their 8 wounds each, that is quite a wall there.
And anyone that Adam does manage to kill, Mordekar can just bring back with Revive. Granted, they only have 1 wound in their turn, but they're still going to get their full activation. So
yeah, and they're still Reach Weapon Masters, so
you see a hit on a Statixis Sea Witch.
Yeah, a 4-man combined attack with Weapon Masters will do the trick.
So now the Sea Witch is gone.
So that field promotion that he did earlier definitely matters. You've got the 1 lone Statixis, or 2 Statixis? No, 1 lone Statixis still
at this point.
Still in the middle. She is definitely not in formation, so until she gets back in formation, no attacks.
See the Incendiary activating next and trying to move around in such a way that they'll be able to fire some shots now that they've been cleared out from the Statixis that were trying to tie them up. He's got to be careful of that forest template a little bit to make sure it doesn't block his line of sight. Adam asking if that Incendiary is actually in the forest, which he is not because he does not have the movement to actually enter the forest. See another Incendiary moving up. So the Statixis are no longer immune to blast damage because the Sea Witch is gone, and that's a granted ability. So we see an Incendiary actually leveling a melee attack again.
Yeah.
And eliminating another Statixis. So we are down to just 2 Statixis left on the table at this point. The unit leader, which is way over on Martin's left. And then the one that is in the zone and well out of formation. See a shot now happening that the Statixis leader is cleared out. It'll drop short.
Definitely going to deviate, but
looking for good deviation.
Direction
roll.
1.
That is ideally what you, right in a beautiful position right there for a deviation.
So even more beautiful than you thought it was.
Even better, yeah.
4 guys. Wow.
Can't ask for much better on a deviation roll for that. So those 4 guys are all on fire.
Shooting at 2, accidentally got 4.
Yep. Not a bad trade-off there.
We did talk about the density of models on that side of the table. That's really showing up here as those AoEs are hitting a lot of guys in Adam's army.
So we see several of them destroyed, and one of them just turned on fire.
More corpse tokens and another field promotion.
3 more corpse tokens for that far back's necrosurgeon. Tim claiming that was a pretty good scatter.
Pretty
do
good.
agree with him. Do a lot worse.
There might be a couple positions it could have gone that would have gotten 5, maybe.
Maybe.
That's pretty good.
That huge cluster of blood witches, though, is kind of pointless at this point since they're incorporeal. So no free strikes for the promoted Styxis Raider, which is excellent for Martin, as he's just able to dash around her however he wants. So, see them discussing a little bit about line of sight on that Styxis Raider, that one remaining Styxis Raider that is the new unit commander that cannot attack because she was just field promoted this turn. So, Martin immune to her free strikes. So those Nihilers kind of getting
like, yeah, they're trying to figure out free strikes, and then they all realized, well, it doesn't matter. She's not going to make any attacks this turn. So
one Annihilator moving up into speed bump range of those Blood Witches, just to be kind of a nuisance.
I think he's still in sorry. I think he's still in control area, though. So without Dark Guidance, that Annihilator is an impressive speed bump with his Def 16.
Def 16 and Reach to threaten free strikes all over the place. You see a miss on the newly promoted Styxis Raider leader. You see Orin Midwinter
Surprised we didn't
advancing.
see at least one more Cataphract Incendiary shot.
I think line of sight was blocked in a couple of instances.
Yeah, I think the trees are
Unless he
proving problematic there
lobbed
for the
shots
moment.
at the Kraken. So we've got Orin Midwinter taking care of those incorporeal models with his chain lightning ability. And so we see 2 of those incorporeal Blood Witches nated by the lightning, and 2 more corpse tokens going on the Necrosurgeon. Gladiator going next, advancing forward. Kriya using her aura to gain
once again,
bonuses
we have
to ranged and magic.
A Necrosurgeon with more corpse tokens than she can turn into Mechanithrall in a single turn.
So the Kriya's Paralytic Aura is going to provide good defense against that Kraken to Tiberian, the Gladiator, and Mordekar, in addition to the +3 defense already labeled on by Mordekar's feet.
I hear +5 defense is good in this game.
It's usually all right. Even when your defense is 9, +5 makes a pretty big difference.
Well, and the low defense guys, low in air quotes that no one can see, are 17 at this point from ranged attacks.
So with that, Martin ends his turn after moving his Beast Handlers up. See a fire roll, which does not go out and eliminates another Mechanithrall. So an effective turn of shooting from those Incendiari on both sides of the table.
Yeah, very attrition-y turn in general. A lot of the vast majority of the Styxis have fallen. A lot of Mechanithrall. Even a couple of incorporeal Blood Witches thanks to Orin Midwinter.
And all for a trade of nothing effectively on Martin's side because the 2 casualties that Adam was able to bring to play were simply revived back. So we've got
Icos, of course, upkeeps his Escort spell, because that's always a good plan, and puts 3 focus on his Kraken. All right, not quite always. If your Jack dies, you don't have to upkeep it, but close enough.
Scar allocating nothing this turn, it looks like. So she's just sitting on 9.
Scarlock uses Ritual Sacrifice again. Pulls off the Scrap Throw.
Oh, and only gives Scar 1 for next turn.
So a 7 focus turn. It's going to be rough.
It's one of those things, again, as we were talking about, you kind of have to plan on the 1 coming up as the Crix player.
Yep.
And as the opponent, you have to plan on the 6 coming up.
Exactly.
It's the only way to really make sure that you're prepared for whatever's going to come in between.
Scar is advancing a bit.
So we've got 1.5 inches to get base to base with the Pistol Wraith. It's moved 3.5 total so far. So the Pistol Wraith being incorporeal allows Scar to kind of advance to where she wants to be, which is right in that zone. Scar pops her feet. All 5 damage, so +5 strength and arm for everything in her control area. C4 for Dark Guidance.
So now we've got accurate melee attacks for the Crixian models in her control area.
Absolutely critical to counter Mordekar's feat. See Scar sack striking a Blood Witch to try to get rid of a Blood Runner.
It's a good way to get around high defense, but Hollow saves him.
Oh, but the Hags.
Hollow does not save him.
Entropy does not save him, so that'll give a soul token to Mordekar. And eliminates a Blood Witch. Scar is now done. So she's sitting on 5. So Scar sitting on 5 focus with +5 armor from her feet. So she is pretty tanky right now at arm 25.
So when playing against Scar, while the +5 armor is very useful, very powerful, you really want to put your opponent in a position where he feels like he has to use the feat for the +5 armor. In this case, the +5 strength is not going to be quite as big a factor as it is in some games.
Certainly will help dent those arm 20 cataphracts, however, based on what Adam has left to bring into play. So we have a quick update here from our other match, which is Jordan Knock versus Mike Purier. Unfortunately, Jordan was using a Judicator card instead of the Kraken card to mark damage, which was an illegal game state. He'd been previously warned about this in the event already, and so Jordan was DQ'd. So Mike Purier wins due to Jordan's DQ, and so he will be moving on to the finals. So we'll be seeing Mike versus the winner of this game. It's an unfortunate turn of events, but exciting to see that we now know at least one of our finalists for the final table here.
So we're going to see a Protectorate finals against either Crix or Scorn.
And
interesting that happened in Iron Gauntlet. We don't usually see that sort of behavior at this level.
And because of the DQ, whoever loses this match will be winning 3rd place. So
here comes the Kraken. He's charging the Kriya, taking advantage of the incorporeal models.
So trying to get to Tiberian. So trying to see if he's within 4 of Tiberian for his placement. So
yep. Players conferring on exact positions here.
Moving back.
Determining the crack and charge.
It's a long 4 inches.
It's going to be close. It's going to be real close.
So being able to do this charge because the pistol racer is still incorporeal. And now we see Tim coming in as judge, checking the angle on the charge. And we see Tim shifting over around from the other side to make sure he can get the best angle here.
It looks really close on the 14 to the Tiberian, which is the real question.
So.
Wow, so hard to tell. It's going to be right on the edge. If he makes it to Tiberian, that's huge. That makes a big difference.
So we've got that set down, measuring 4 inch for reach. And here's the important part. It looks
wow, so
like
close.
It's out.
Yeah, it looked out from the tape measure, so can't say I'm surprised.
So has the Drake out on Tiberian, which is a big deal. It's not what you want to see on the feet turn. Removing Tiberian at this point would have been huge.
But even for Tiberian, the Kraken might be a tough nut to crack.
Tiberian and Gladiator right next to each other,
though.
Never
mind. Well, yeah, okay. It's just too many attacks at high POW. But he's arm 24 at the moment, I believe.
Will certainly take a lot of work there. So we see the left tentacle going after the charge target, the Kriya. Needed a 10 to hit. So POW plus strength 23 right now against the poor Drake. Really low roll and a 5 with 3 dice.
So the Kraken is armor 24 with 58 damage boxes.
No one shot on the Drake. Oh, he was within range of Tiberian.
Oh. Well, that's important.
Does hit on the first shot with Tiberian.
Ignoring the shield and with the +5 from the feet makes it a much more dangerous attack here than typical.
Yeah, it only armed 19 instead of 21. It's a huge swing.
Well, and POW 23 instead of 18.
So next attack hits. +4 on the roll. 14 to the 2. So that's big chunk out of Tiberian. He's only got one more attack, though. It does hit. +4 eliminates him and removes him from play. So no Fury for Mordekar. And that will activate Kill Shot.
We're going to see a ranged attack slightly empowered by the corpse token there.
Deciding where to shoot. So quick check on line of sight to the Annihilator.
So we've got a 4-inch AoE that's POW 14 with POW 7 blast damage, but with +1 from that corpse. So pretty good blast damage there.
So you see the main gun being shot at the Annihilator, trying to catch that big cluster. So misses his shot because of Mordekar's thing. 1 inch, so not terrible.
Yeah, that has a lot of potential right there.
So we see the new placement, 1 inch. So he gets 2 Satrati in the back.
Even in the back, and even with the corpses +1, it's not going to do a lot to the Satrati. But it's likely to tear through those Annihilators, Blood Runners.
So Annihilator and I think a couple of Blood Runners under that template at the moment. So see them checking on the blast range here using keys and the AoE marker. See a pause on the clock so Tim can get in there and check things out. Quick measurement, moving to the center. Short distance, but a big thing. So we see 3 blood runners that are caught, 2 Citrati in the back, and then Annihilator. So 3 blood runners were hit. Pow 7+1. It's going to tear through those guys without.
Only needs 4s on these guys. They are still.
They're still hollowed.
The hag?
We see a measurement for the hag. So
okay, so 2 of them have the potential for tough, I think.
So first one, no. So 1. So 2 die, 1 tough. So Annihilator dies.
So 8 off, even in the back arc.
Other Citrati does a point. So 1 point on the Citrati, but several blood runners down as well as Annihilator. 1 blood runner's knocked down. See the next surgeon advancing. Likely going to dump out some thralls here in a second. Just advancing forward right now. So see the trees getting removed here. 3 new Mechanothralls show up. So we see within 3 in formation of the original unit. Primed and ready to be able to charge those Incendiari.
So we get a charge order for the Mechanothralls. Now, without them being in range for Dark Guidance,
this is going to be a
blood
tall
magic.
order.
Aha, and that guy is going to choose to be in range.
So trying to do the charges in such a way that he gets those Mechanothralls within Dark Guidance to counteract Mordecard's +3 defense in the feet.
Well, and to gain blood magic to counteract their heavy armor and 8 damage boxes.
See the rest of the Mechanothralls just running, trying to stymie up those Incendiari. Charge there. So no Dark Guidance. Needs a 7. There's a lot more than that, actually. So,
all right.
Yeah,
we are going
Forgot
to see
about Mordecai's thing.
A poltergeist.
Pushes
2
him out of the
inches.
range. And this is going to be really important because if he can bump all of his Mechanothralls out, he's going to be able to shoot if he wants.
Well, but those guys are, oh, yeah. So we've got Dark Guidance and the Strength.
So he hits
exactly what he needed.
Dark Guidance, eliminates an Incendiari. Then on this, the Commander. So set defense on the Tyrant Commander means pretty high roll.
17 defense is pretty good.
And pushed back. So the Styxis Raider that's way out of formation stops the push. A little short. So that Mechanothrall unit's done. Adam taking a look at what to do next. Pistol Wraith activate. Advances. Gonna try to death chill the Titan Gladiator. But with Paralytic
Death
Aura.
15 and oh, Death 17,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
So first shot misses and bounces him away. Now there's no chance for a death chill. So he might change targets here. So we see this Incendiari that bounced his Mechanothrall target out. Snake Eyes, so nothing, and bounces him back 3 more inches. Which will stop him because he contacts Orin Midwinter.
frustrated pinball pistol wraith ends his activation.
Iacos advances, trying to keep the Kraken within his control area, but at the very edge of the control area. And then we see a leap.
Wants to keep him at the very edge.
You don't want...
Which makes sense.
Iacos is the weak link for that Kraken at this point. And, well, there's not...
Scrap Thrall ran.
An easy way for Martin to get to Iacos yet. It would be devastating if that did happen.
Exactly. I mean, with a good roll, if you catch him on fire, you could take out that weak link. I mean, granted, it would take some work to make that happen. It would take some luck on the deviation, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
See another Pistol Wraith capping that Annihilator to get the soul, boosting to hit. And he does manage to hit because of the boost. So one more point on that Cetrati and Shield Wall. Texas Raider captain aiming and shooting with her hand cannon against Annihilator, trying to clear out that block. So does hit. And even with a roll of a 3, does kill the Annihilator with no tough because of the Blood Hag. Entropy really proving its worth here in this matchup. See both players measuring their casters' control areas. So Adam has the Mechanothrall unit and the Blood Witch unit, as well as
Helldivers and Dark Wraith.
Yep. So a lot of stuff left to still go here.
Blood Witches are going to get a charge order. And one charges the damaged Cataphract Cetrati model. Another charge on the Cataphracts.
So checking for a free strike. So he does take a free strike. So Arm 18, Weapon Master,
Weapon
4
Master,
dice.
yeah.
Takes care of that, so no Corpse Token there. So Blood Hag charging an unwounded Cetrati.
And the Satixis once again relegated to some speed bump duty. They're going to demand some more pay here, I think.
Looking just to get gang bonuses as much as he can here through his runs. The Blood Witch is overall not as defensive as their Raider brethren.
No, they're wearing slightly heavier armor.
And as we just saw, that armor really doesn't matter against POW 12 Weapon Masters.
Well, no.
So they're not going to be as effective a speed bump, I don't think. They'll tie up the Cetrati for a turn, potentially. So we see a hit. 17, though, so it's only 3 off. 6 points. That should eliminate that wounded. Oh, this is not the wounded one. So does hit, thanks to Dark Guidance. This is POW plus Strength 15. 2 more points from the horns.
And that does it. Finishes him off with the horns.
And that will pull the far one that's wounded out of shield wall.
So the non-shield wall model now in some trouble thanks to the feat.
So strength 7 for
triggering
the death
strike.
So trying to death strike a Blood Runner. And Boxcars will definitely do it. So
and the Blood Hag is definitely close enough to deny tough.
Distance on, so out of range because the distance is not drawn from the model that was destroyed, but the Blood Witch herself. So that attack misses. Necrosurgeon goes, going to throw some more Mechanothralls back into that unit. See 3 Mechanthrals come out. Back into the fight.
Really showing the power of the recursion mechanics going on here. So many Mechanothrals dead, but when 6 come back in a single turn.
A whole min unit worth.
Charge order for the Mechanothral unit. Attempts to charge the Blood Runner.
So, quick check on free strikes here. Seeing if he can actually make that charge without incurring a free strike. And he does take a free strike, which does hit and eliminates. Yeah. So, the Mechanothral, like, one of his buddies got brought back. He immediately goes back into the dead pile, and he does not get a corpse from that. So that Mechanothral is just gone. So charge against the free striking Annihilator.
It's always important to have good positioning with your Annihilators due to Berserk, but also for free strike purposes. Depending on what angle you're facing, you can wind up getting free strikes that you otherwise wouldn't.
So we see a bunch of runs from the rest of the Mechanothrals trying to, again, tie up the Scorn army on Martin's side. And doing his best to avoid free strikes here. Proxy base goes in since the model won't stand on that uneven ground. Moving a little quicker on those last Mechanothrals, not as concerned about where their final position is going to be.
Also knows he's been using up a decent chunk of time here.
It's a lot of models on the table and a lot of attacks this turn.
Feet turn is often a longer one. But it's a critical one, so you got to take in as much time as you need.
So it's the first one hit, thanks to Dark Guidance. And no tough roll here, so that Annihilator is just eliminated. So we have the Raider going next. So advancing into Orin to try to eliminate him. So trying to get within a ½ inch of Orin. So we see horns being laid against Orin. Hits on the nose with an 8. So this is +1 to the damage. Orin is dead.
So even with just one Satixis who's able to attack this turn from the Raider unit, really doing some damage.
So we see a knockdown on the Incendiary. And Boxcars kills him. Great roll there.
Command check on the out of formation Satixis Raider is unsuccessful. She is now fleeing. Helldiver advances and does not burrow. Other Helldiver advances.
Adam saying he thinks he's activated everything. I think he might have forgotten Derek Wraith, though. Potentially not. That foot marker might mean did something earlier. So Martin now, top of round 3, has to determine how to deal with Scar's feet with the +5 arm on everything. He's got a Kraken in his face with Tiberian down.
Surprised that those Helldivers did not burrow. It winds up giving you some extra distance on the following turn.
It's possible.
And some flexibility in placement.
It's possible he's looking to them to just block access to Scar. They do kind of form a wall on the side, but there's not much there to really threaten her from that angle.
Certainly the second one is not, the back one isn't providing much benefit.
Martin looking at the table, trying to determine what to do next.
Well, it was a big turn. The charge on Tiberian, that oh-so-close charge, was a gamble that really paid off for Adam.
So at this point, so we've got Knockdown Blood Runner, we've got Mordekar with several extra fury this turn thanks to the souls he pulled from the Blood Runners. We do not see Hollow upkept. So this point in the game, Martin's got some really serious choices to make here. The placement on Tiberian has really cost him.
Charge order being announced for the Annihilators.
Yep. It looks like the Incendiary are actually doing a charge order here. So that's a medium. Oh, it's the Tyrant Commander.
Oh, and the Standard. Okay, so charge order for the Tyrant Commander and Standard. Tyrant Commander connects and very kills his target.
So
the only Statixis Raider left is that fleeing one,
which is now back in formation. She just realized that she's the only one. Crossed the range of that Kraken.
Still can't attack.
Nope. Martin considering what to do next after the easy answer of the Tyrant Commander, cleaning out that last Statixis on the side there on his flank. It's a tough position to be in at this point. That Kraken has lost its 4-inch reach, but it's still got 2-inch reach, and you don't want to take free strikes from it. So because Tiberian got removed from play because of the Kraken special ability, Martin did have to cut for 1 Fury this turn to get back up to full. Wanting as much Fury as he possibly could with this turn bearing down on him.
So with that, Arm 24 Kraken in the middle. What do you think you would go for here? Do you try your damnedest to clear a line of sight to Icos and see if you can catch him on fire?
The fire's a long shot. I mean, at this point, with that Incendiary where he is, it might just be like a secondary play. I mean, there's not a ton else that's going to happen. So we see the Incendiary being activated on Martin's left flank, but I think at this point I try to figure out how I can get a line to Scar with something that'll matter. And unfortunately, Tiberian would have been the best use for that. But the Gladiator itself could deal with her with the number of attacks that it has. The question is, can you open that line?
To Scar?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't see it. I think it's important not to remember Mordekar's ranged attack this turn. He does have a decent ranged attack, especially against those Mechanothrall that are outside of Scar's control area, because it will not really hurt his Incendiary, but he could clear 2, maybe 3 Mechanothrall that way.
See the Incendiary taking a shot, missing, but setting several Mechanothralls on fire after failing to kill them with the blast damage thanks to Scar's feet. But that fire will be just as useful next turn if it doesn't go out. So we see a scatter from another shot. Goes 1 in direction 4.
Couldn't get much better than that in the current position. Oh, I was looking at the wrong dude. Still good. Still a few more guys on fire.
So 18 straight means that that blast damage doesn't kill, but he's got a couple more Blood Witches on fire, as well as another Mechanothrall.
And the Helldiver.
And the Helldiver.
Helldiver at arm 20 at the moment, but he'll go back to 15 soon.
This is where fire will really pay off, provided that it stays in play. It's going to leave those models basically auto-dead for Mechanithrals and can put a decent amount of damage on the Helldiver as well with a good roll. See the Blood Runners advancing and attacking. So first one manages to kill thanks to their anatomical precision. Yep. See shadow play used. And a hit and another kill, regardless of armor. And then another shadow play. Popping up.
If you're a living armor, you can raise, or if you're a living model, you can raise your armor as high as you want for all that Blood Runner cares.
He'll still get you in the eye. So the last Blood Runner here to attack.
I always think they get you in the kidneys for some reason. So you think it's the eye?
I think it's the eye. It's probably
that
the
makes
eye.
sense.
With a spoon.
Oh, with a spoon.
Yeah, it's got to be a spoon.
Not their knives.
No, just a spoon. So that'll end the Blood Runners, it looks like, activation. We've got some measurement of melee distance on the Cataphracts Cetrati, who are engaged by that Kraken. Makes things more difficult for sure.
Another thing we've definitely got to consider is the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That Kraken's in a very dominant position for the scenario objectives.
It certainly has claimed that zone as its own, even though we've got stuff in the way at the moment that's contesting, including those Cetrati that weren't killed last turn, who happen to be in the zone. There's no kill box in this scenario. So Martin potentially considering advancing Mordekar back. He's got a lot of potential revives this turn as well, so he can bring back some of those Cetrati. He's also always got Essence Blast, although this probably isn't the turn to use it. It's one of those odd spells that sometimes you forget about, and it can come back to bite you really hard. Seen a couple of games from Scorn players in the office end with Essence Blast for the assassination, using Rhinodons or Gladiators.
It's always most of a gamble when you're using a War Beast. I remember one where it was a mammoth even, I think. It's a powerful shot, but that's quite a thing to use for just like throwing away.
Whole mammoth for the win. So we see revives happening. Cataphracts Cetrati brought back to revive. We've seen Incendiary brought back for revive. So it's very likely that we're going to see an attempted combined range shot against Iacos' stealth, though. So maybe just trying to lay more shots and
try and get as many shots over there as you can. One of them might deviate well, and then if the fire stays, it might get him, and it probably won't.
Well, he's not within escort range for the arm bonus, so his arm is not fireproof.
His arm's back down to 14, so you only need a 7 if the fire sticks around. It's worth a try, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what the other play would be right now.
The loss of the Kraken would be a huge detriment, obviously, to Adam's next turn.
Falls back a little bit into those woods.
Sitting on 3 still.
Come on, Mordekar, shoot.
Yeah, POW 13 AoE 3, but what do you shoot at?
Just the Mechanithrall. Because the POW 7s aren't going to kill your Cataphracts. And because those Mechanithrall are not within blood magic.
So,
well,
we see
healing the Drake a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually surprised.
Or no? Not quite sure what Mordekar is doing at the moment. Maybe he's thinking.
Maybe. Heal to the Drake. The Agonizer, unfortunately, getting taken out. It looks like somewhat early since I haven't seen that model get moved. And the card's... Oh, the card's still there. So the Agonizer got another Fury point. So it's up to 5. That could prove critical, too, because it can stop allocation of focus while it's still in play. So that'll shut down the Kraken a little bit.
It'll slow it down at least, yeah, because I think it's in that middle mass of stuff there.
Yeah, it looks to be right behind the Gladiator. So that's another potential avenue to go. I mean, ideally removing the Kraken from the equation for next turn would be the better option. So we see the Citrati going into shield wall.
Oh, Mordecai didn't shoot.
No, no shoots. And he's sitting on
He's got 2 Fury left, yeah. Maybe those Mechanothrall are within feet range. Some of them.
I believe he did upkeep Hollow, so now that I look at it. No?
I don't think so. Maybe.
Well, because you would have had 3 souls.
Right, right. And he only had 9 Fury at the start of the turn.
I think Hollow got left on. So we see a quick check on the free strikes and such as the Citrati move into shield wall position. Although their shield wall doesn't really affect much against the Kraken, since it's got Chain Weapon on its tentacles.
Yep.
But clearing a path for that Gladiator, potentially the Drake, with the bonus from Stud, because the Kriya's right there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it better, but with Blood Magic up, it doesn't make it better enough.
So with the Kriya and the Drake and the Beast Handlers, I mean, throw everything you got at it, I guess. Kriya would get flank, which would be helpful. POW 14s with an additional die damage.
Yeah, like a pseudo POW 14 Weapon Master, but it's not going to get you through 58 boxes at ARM 24.
Not by itself. So we see attacks being made by the Citrati now.
So this is a combined attack here.
So we see Vorkesh making a combined range here, trying to eliminate that Blood Hag, and does it. We see the other 2.
And since Vorkesh led that, I think he's going to cleave.
So we see a cleave. Needs an 8 to kill, so it does kill. So there's another one gone.
So doing
which they pass.
Doing small to medium-sized combined melee attacks with Vorkesh is a great way to go against medium targets like Blood Magicked Blood Witch. Because then you get the added bonus on a heavier weapon and you're cleaving to do it twice rather than just once. So a great way to go.
Last combined attack from that unit eliminating another Blood Witch. So Blood Witch is getting lewd. Definitely moved down. See the Drake advancing. The Beast Handlers didn't go yet, so.
Nope. And the Kriya did not provide flank, so.
Well, the Kriya is the one that gets flank from the Drake.
Ah, right.
Changed a little bit between editions. But I don't. So the Drake. The Drake is not making any attacks here?
He can't really do anything.
Can't.
12 off. Is it even worth it?
Apparently Martin doesn't seem to think so.
Depends on where he wants his Fury.
So we see the Beast Handlers now going. We see, well, so he's just there for the flank because now the Kriya and the Titan are enraged, and the Titan Gladiator also gets healed a little bit. Or somebody got healed. So we see a charge for free from the Gladiator. Martin fully attempting to try to take out that Kraken this turn.
He's got a lot of attacks to make, but he's also got a lot to chew through.
So first attack hits. It's going to be at 18s thanks to the enrage.
So 6 off.
So the first one just does 3. So we see a boost on the damage. 9 to the 2. Martin apologizing for his excellent dice roll there. See another hit from the Tuss. These are -7. And he does boost. So 2 to the 3.
The Scorn War Beasts are so efficient with the pain givers and with lots of initial attacks and high fury, or high enough.
See a hit, one more
But when
boost.
you have to boost every single damage roll to do much of anything, it really makes it more difficult.
So decent amount of damage, but not enough to cripple one side. So you see the Kriya now going in. Hits with the flank bonus. So she gets 4 dice.
Now we can clearly see that Agonizer.
So 1 point to the 5. Not what you need. See an attack being bought here. So boosting damage after the bot attack. So not getting the spikes on the dice that he needs because that attack does no damage.
Well, he had that one great die roll that he apologized for, but then he also had a few that were less impressive.
See the Will Breaker putting Puppet Master. Having to check for Orin. So he can't Puppet Master because Orin stops that from happening. So we have the Incendiary going next. See what he does here. He's got 2 potential drifts towards Iacos, but instead we have a bunch of aims. So we see a swing, hits, and that's eliminated because it's outside of Scar's command or control range. So we get a field promotion. Another swing here. So we see a shot on the Pistol Wraith with the aim. So he does hit the Corporeal Pistol Wraith.
Voosh.
So the Pistol Wraith only takes 1 point of damage and is on fire. So apologizing again for the high roll, which eliminates Orin.
Yeah, there's been some good rolls. There's been some bad rolls. That's how it goes.
So we see a punch against the one out of control area against another Mechanthrol and destroyed.
Another corpse
Surprised
token.
he's not trying to shoot the Necrosurgeon. Even with the cover. I mean, ideally, you could have just walked that Incendiary up and smacked her. I'm pretty sure she's out of Scar's control area, and that would have removed a potential 3 more Mechanothralls coming back next turn.
Who are able to be positioned in where you want them and who then get to charge. I mean, if he could kill all the Mechanothrall, you don't really need the Surgeon to go.
Right.
But
that's
not going to happen.
Not likely here at this point. You see another measurement for that corpse token, but it's out. So 3 more Mechanthralls pretty much guaranteed to come back next turn. Also have see the Annihilators advancing forward. Just trying to chomp through stuff. But I don't feel like this is a very effective turn overall. Seeing models getting killed, but nothing that's critical. Scar's feet is weathering the important stuff. The Kraken is still up.
Once that Agonizer activates, then it'll be pretty huge.
The Agonizer certainly has a major role to play next turn to slowing down what that Kraken's going to be able to do. But, I mean, without Scar's feet to bump up its POW again, depends how damaged that
Scar is also really only at +1 focus next turn.
She's only at +1 focus next turn, which makes her vulnerable. The
Helldivers are also not in great positions to deal with
So
what you might want them to.
Agonizer uses its ability, so there'll be no allocation or channeling. We see a bunch of fires being done. So we have the fire going out on the Helldiver, but the Mechanithral and the Blood Witch getting killed. And all the fire is now kind of gone. So 3 more corpse tokens going back on the Necrosurgeon. Blood Witches need to make another command check, and they don't care. They love it.
He's running low on Satixis at this point. We've got the one lone fleeing Satixis, and then we've got just 1 Blood Witch left.
So we see Iacos upkeeping Escort. Seven focus for Scar. Iacos not being able to allocate.
So the Agonizer does not reach the Helldivers. But to reach the Helldivers, it would mean getting too close to the Kraken.
Well, and ideally, I mean, if you're Adam at this point, I don't think you want to allocate focus anyway, which you just said he's not going to do, because Scar is in a very dangerous position right now with so little focus. See the Scarlock walking forward, doing another ritual sacrifice on the last scrap thrall. Gets 4, so that's a solid number. Put Scar up to 10, which is a hefty amount of focus.
I hear 10 focus is good.
It's usually considered pretty average.
Average?
Yeah. So we've got a free strike, which hits and kills the last Satixis, so clears her out of the path.
So no more Raiders and just 1 or 2 Blood Witches. I think just 1. There's 1 other Satixis.
It's now got a clear path to that Gladiator.
But if she dies, the game ends.
Yes. See the Necrosurgeon go. We're going to see a bunch of Mechanithral get dropped back. Expecting that they'll probably make some charges on that Gladiator to try to soften it up. Yep, 3 more. Just can't believe that he didn't try to level something against her last turn. Maybe she was in Scar's feet, but it doesn't look like it. Although Scar is hiding behind that Kraken really well, so
yeah,
a little difficult to tell. So there's 3 more Mechanithrals all in prime charge range for the Tyrant Commander and the Gladiator. So the Mechanithral's going next. We see a charge.
So that particular Mechanithral is out of formation and will not get to charge, but we have some charges coming on against the Titan Gladiator now.
Yep, so first one makes it in. Second one charging the Gladiator. Checking the line, and it's good. So 2 Mechanithrals get on the Gladiator, softening it up.
So this particular Mechanithral will not get the charge bonus because that was less than 3 inches to be sure.
See a charge
Another
there.
Mechanithral charges a Cataphract Incendiary.
1 going after the Tyrant Commander, which is also not going to be a charge. And then the last one's got to run to get back in formation.
Advances, actually, I believe. Wait, where's the unit commander?
The unit leader, I believe, is the one by the Cataphract Incendiary up front.
So with how far he moved, doesn't matter too much if it was an advance or a run, but he's gotten himself back in formation, which is what matters.
See a lot of misses happening from those Mechanithrals. See the Gladiator, these are the important ones.
Yeah.
First one hits.
Even against Gladiators, though.
So
Mechanithrals not have great, great
amazing
roll,
so 10 points. Not a great start for that Gladiator survivability. And second one misses, so it balances out a little bit-ish.
Overall, not a particularly effective turn for the Mechanithral, especially considering that he was able to bring back a decent chunk of them.
Iacos casting his other spell since he had the focus to do it.
Yeah.
Giving his battle group grievous wounds, which will be huge. So that'll stop that gladiator from being able to be healed. So turning so that he can bring both arms into the gladiator, really trying to remove that big threat. First one hits. So 19 thanks to the course, straight dice, 5 points to the 5. Now no healing thanks to critical grievous or to the grievous wounds. Spirit is still up with 1 point.
There's a lot of spells and abilities in the game that are a bit situational. In the right situation, like this, they're great. And otherwise, you might not particularly need them.
So 6 more points to the 2. Leaves the spirit up on the gladiator, which is important.
Yep. But you definitely don't want to underestimate those abilities. No. Because when they come into play, in a situation like this, if he got his spirit, that would really have done a number on the score and ability to counterattack next turn.
Yeah. And just not being able to heal in general is huge because it's going to stop any hope for
body also would have been brutal.
So we see an attack on the revived cataphract, but dealing no damage. See another attack and misses. So far those cataphracts holding firm.
Yeah, without Dark Guidance, it's not quite as easy to
And Scar
tag
certainly
your
doesn't
target.
want to be casting Dark Guidance this turn with only 7 focus based on her position.
Yeah, she also, I think, does not want to get any closer to the action to provide more Dark Guidance.
She is right up in there. See a Helldiver going, advancing forward, making an attack on one of the revived cataphracts. So we see a Citrati, which misses, or bites, I think is more official.
Punching with his face.
Punching with his face.
Other Helldiver advances.
Trying to do the same thing.
Attacks the same Citrati.
Does hit.
This one succeeds.
So -7 does
against
nothing.
that shield wall, doesn't wind up mattering a whole lot.
See Saxon Orin being remembered after hanging out in the trees and running forward. Might have noticed that he'd been hanging out back there for a while.
Necrosurgeon unit on the right flank.
See 3 more Mechanothralls getting dropped out for sure.
Necrosurgeons definitely proving their worth in this match.
So a quick check on command to see if the Stitch Thrall was in command. That unit, having not taken many casualties, has lost a single Stitch Thrall so far. 3 more Mechanothralls come out. Just making those Mechanothralls a true force multiplier. So a quick check for command. Now we see those Mechanothralls being placed. Around Scar there a little bit.
Adam chooses to activate Scar next.
Derek Wraith still hasn't gone yet. Pistol Wraith behind the Kraken has not activated yet. And Mechanothrall unit on Adam's right side has yet to activate. And we've still got a Styxis Raider captain hiding behind that wall. So a fair number of models left.
Scar does stay within the scoring zone. She uses Sacrificial Strike.
Trying to eliminate the Citrati. And he toughs on the Blood Runner.
Yep. Blood Runners are a good choice because Sacrificial Strike does not have an attack roll. It's just sacrifice in order to do an immediate damage roll.
So Adam hands back the knockdown token on that Blood Runner that just got sack striked, letting Martin know that he's going to be hitting him with a lot of fists. High defense not counting for anything.
Activates next.
High defense not mattering when you're on your butt. So
Mechanothrall is definitely going to pummel that Blood Runner, also engaging a Annihilator,
careful
and I think a second Blood Runner.
So 2 Blood Runners engaged, one of them's knocked down, and then 2 Annihilators, it looks like. So hits, straight dice. Gets rid of an Incendiary. So first shot on the knockdown Blood Runner, kills him, gets a soul. Tough. And dies on the second shot.
It does mean 2 souls for Mordekar, so he'll have 9 Fury next turn.
Second one misses, so 1 Blood Runner is left and standing in that unit. Hits with Authority. See a tough auto hit. And then eliminates Annihilator.
Yep.
So first attack misses on the Annihilator, second attack hits on the Annihilator. And Annihilator goes down.
Mechanothrall definitely had a fairly successful turn there.
That unit certainly did more than the other unit. Although 10 points of damage on the Gladiator from that one shot was impressive.
Yeah. Even without the Dark Guidance.
So, see Adam trying to determine what to do with Dara Graith. Still got a few models left. Derek advances and does Beyond Death.
If he can catch the Titan Gladiator, which he just did, it's going to be very effective.
So, asking about the Drake's spray attack and if it's magical. But locked up in combat as it is. So the pistol ray shooting the Gladiator. So misses. So this is a pretty complex shot here.
When randomizing the misses from a attack into melee can definitely get a bit complex when you've got a Colossal in the mix.
So figuring out how to split down the groups. So they're dividing the groups into 2. So it's going to be the Fur group. And reroll 5s and 6s, rolls a lot of 5s and 6s.
So we figured it out. Now we know who's getting shot.
So the bullet zips through the combat and misses even with a roll of a 10. Oh, he's only 16 in melee, so it does hit. So POW 12 on the Cataphract does nothing. On the other side of the combat.
Bounces off the shield wall.
Second one misses, same kind of randomization. This time it's the group with the Mechanothrall, so more likelihood that... More likelihood, a lot of 5s and 6s being burned out here. 1, so it hits the Kraken. Does hit and does no damage.
No damage.
So mostly a time burner there. Trying to figure out where those things go.
Once the first shot missed, I thought he might change his target.
Tixis Raider captain. Trying to shoot that Tyrant Commander, which misses. Which again is another random roll because that Tyrant Commander's engaged. And misses. So a lot of ineffectual shooting into combat's happening here. So we see a threshold check for that Kriya because had too much Fury. And trying to check the card. So she frenzies and does a boosted attack on the Kraken.
Which does still benefit from flank.
From the flank bonus. -9 on the roll. 2-2. So a little bit of damage, but...
So Dargraith already showing how useful he's going to be by reducing 4 points of damage to 2.
So he does upkeep Hollow again.
Is there one Blood Runner left?
With one Blood Runner left. But Hollow's still on the table. So, see the Paingiver Beast Handlers going first. Not a ton of War Beasts in which to affect on here. He can't heal the Gladiator because of grievous wounds.
Well, I think we're going to enrage the Gladiator.
So we heal the Drake for 1 point. So we see an enrage, and we see a swing on a Mechanothrall, which misses.
I like to see that, though. Don't waste your activations. Even if it might not do anything, it might do something.
So we see the Will Breaker go next, and Puppet Strings the Gladiator. Well, and Beast Handlers with Anatomical Precision can actually be deceptively good.
Well, not usually against undead things, but yeah.
So we see Puppet Master reroll getting used right away. 5 points to the 5. And
I think my favorite example of all of using a unit people don't expect to be in combat effectively was when a unit of Choir under Grand Exemplar Krios' feet just started slaughtering Silena and her Nis Hunters with their terrible terrible weapons, but it doesn't matter in certain situations. It's always worth thinking about, always worth considering.
5 more, so a flurry of attacks with boosts using Enraged minus Dara Grace Beyond Death ability does finally level out the Kraken's left side. And this is the last attack here. So 13 points, a huge roll there on that last boosted attack roll. So that Kraken is not dead, but definitely severely damaged.
Looks like it might have lost its movement. It definitely lost the superstructure. So the Hellblaster has -1 die on its attack and damage rolls.
I believe its movement's still up looking at the card there, but just with 1 box. So the Kraken almost out, but still a threat. Cortex is still good.
And with the quantity of attacks, Dark Wraith definitely saved that Kraken for now.
So we'll see what the Cataphracts are going to do next.
Satrati unit did get the shield wall order once again. Or no, not the Satrati. Who's going?
So it looks like we've got the Incendiary going now, shooting at the Mechanothralls up front. Deviates, goes 1.5 inch off the target, so it's still going to burn a bunch of stuff. So blast damage manages to set 1 on fire and kill another one, which gives another corpse token back. So 3 more Mechanothralls potentially coming back on Adam's next turn. See another shot of the Mechanothrall unit from the other Incendiary. Misses. Deviation, direction. It's going to go back 3 inches is the max it can go. 4. So it's going to land mostly on Cataphract Incendiary. And that eliminates the... burns the Satrati and eliminates the Blood Runner. So we see Mordecai's Fury getting leveled out for revives here. Scar still sitting on 7 focus, so a tough target and hiding behind a wall of Crix models. See the Tyrant Commander going, advancing a little bit, trying to get his standard bearer and himself into combat, take out those Mechanothralls that are trying to engage the bronze back.
Or Gladiator.
Gladiator, sorry.
I've seen a number of games this weekend where they've been very scenario-oriented. Like a real back and forth of a control point here, a control point there. I don't think we're going to see that.
No. This is going to wind up with no models left here. Kind of feels like. So no corpse tokens from those two Mechanothralls as the Necrosurgeon was out of range.
She's already got 2 on her, though, so she can almost build a full complement of Mechanothralls already.
And here comes Mordekar.
Uses Revive.
And also puts Hollow, it looks like, on the Annihilators.
Yep.
So here comes back a Citrati. Still has 3 left to determine what to do here.
The Hollow Annihilators are a good choice because they're going to help
left.
Provide him with more fury as they die.
They already have tough, but they are numerous still, so
yep.
Looking mostly for souls. So Martin considering what he wants to do here next. See a revive on Annihilator.
Another tasty soul.
Leaving Mordekar with 1. It is another tasty soul. See if he uses his gun this time. So Citrati are just going to activate. No shot from Mordekar's gun. Would have been useful against the Kraken.
I would have gone against the Kraken from that position.
Would have been.
I mean, it's 13 against 19, but even an average roll does a little, and a good roll would really help, possibly taking out a system based on how much damage is already there.
We got the Citrati shield walling and kind of turning their attention towards the Kraken. So we see a 2-man combine on the Kraken. Hits no problem. So see a quick confirmation for the intent.
So in this case,
7 points.
Dark Wraith is basically halving the number of attacks from this unit. Rather than doing single attacks that wind up at Power plus Strength 11 Weapon Master, 2-man attacks are winding up at 11 Weapon Master due to the -2.
You see, so we see an attack from Vorkesh, killing and cleaving.
Making use of that cleave.
Cleaves the kills the Mechanothrall, cleaves into a witch. See another Mechanothrall getting killed. Needs a 14 and misses on the last attack. So we have the Drake going next. Boosting a hit and a damage roll. -9.
And that does it.
Manages to take it out with a boosted attack and damage roll from the Drake.
The mighty Kraken has fallen.
Took almost everything that Martin had, though.
Yes, it did indeed. For 2 turns.
For 2 turns. Yeah. See the Tyrant Commander on the Martin's left side, advancing and attacking, murdering a Mechanothrall that was on fire.
Well, as we've noted before with Una, just because the battle group's not there anymore doesn't mean that a novice Warcaster or Warlock is out of the action. Well, Iacos is still going to be very effective.
And best of all for Iacos, he doesn't have to cut himself to get his focus back. So he's as efficient every turn as he was before. He just doesn't have a Kraken anymore. You see the Annihilators going and advancing here. Trying to finish off that Mechanothrall unit. Really needs to do that.
Yeah, that's a great way to go.
Last one. And gets both of them. So, and that finishes off the Mechanothrall unit.
Yeah,
on that
the
side.
right flank Mechanothrall unit is now out of the picture.
Surprised we're not seeing see those Incendiari moving around trying to eliminate this Mechanothrall unit. So hits and kills. Hits and kills. Hits and kills. Hits and misses. So there are 2 Mechanothrall left in that unit at the moment. And that is the end of Martin's
Interesting
turn
choice
4
there. He is running out of time, and making melee attacks is a lot quicker than figuring out your deviations on fireballs.
So Critical Grievous is gone. Bronzeback is able to be healed if it survives this turn.
The Gladiator.
Gladiator. I keep wanting to call it a Bronzeback.
He does have a lot of Bronzebacks in his list.
He does.
So it's an understandable confusion. But this particular one went with the Titan Gladiator,
His
presumably for Rush.
His Supreme Arch Dominant Makita list that he ran at 50 points actually had 2 Bronzebacks and a Titan Gladiator, as well as the Kriya. So
and an Archidon.
And an Archidon, a heavy
Very
complement of
beast-heavy.
beasts.
So checking to see if it's possible to allocate to this
and he
Helldiver.
cannot allocate to either Helldiver, so Scar's just basically going to sit on 10 focus for herself.
So those Helldivers are playing the role of a wall at this point.
So the Necrosurgeon goes first. Risks a free strike with the Stitch Thrall. Let's see that clock getting hit. A little slight confusion as the players were trying to time things over. Martin being very cautious of his time. Necrosurgeon moving up behind Scar so that he can... And we see the last Thrall trying to be obnoxious. Heal for 2 on Scar. She stitches her back together.
The Necrosurgeon most commonly builds more Mechanothrall, but she does have that other special action. Doing surgery and restoring some damage. So Scarlock Thrall here does another ritual sacrifice.
Only
just
gets
one again.
What more do you expect when you sacrifice a Stitch Thrall, though?
Well,
they can't have that much potential in
but
them.
he already had his 1 for the game.
Oh.
He can't get another 1.
He got another 1.
Ah.
He should have sacrificed Iacos. That would give him a 6.
No, don't sacrifice Iacos. He has a job to do. He needs to finish the work that his Kraken started. He needs to kill all of that stuff in the middle. The other Necrosurgeon unit activates.
Yep. It's going to drop 3 more Mechanothralls into that unit.
Stitch Thrall decides to be obnoxious like his buddy. And the Necrosurgeon makes 3 more Mechanothralls.
3 show up. And that placement should allow him to be able to get some of those Cataphracts and potentially finish off the Gladiator.
Very much a battle of recursion against recursion here. Between Revive and Necrosurgery, we've seen
this game is more like a
somewhere
100-point game than a
20 models come
game.
back on the board. Maybe not quite that much, but a lot.
Well,
Mechanothrall unit on the left activates and receive a charge order. That first one, not quite a charge, or not even close, but that Mechanothrall is going to fight the Cataphract Incendiari.
Kind of clearing out for the Gladiator. Yep. Trying
Even
to get
with
rid of
the wreck marker, there's plenty of movement there for these Mechanothralls to gain the charge bonus and also get to their target. So the judge has agreed to remove the forest, since the wreck marker covers it anyway, so that models will be able to stand more easily